Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sandra Custom. Welcome to another game of Heroes of the Storm. Today we've got a game where we are playing Leoric. It's been a hard journey to find a game with Leoric that I can actually present to you. For whatever reason, when I queue up with him, I seem to keep getting put into teams that just fall apart like a wet paper bag. I think I tried to make a Leoric video like 3 or 4 different times. Then I got into this game, and I had it recording and everything, but afterwards it was the video was so choppy that it just wasn't presentable. That's why we're doing this in a replay. I apologize that there's no display down here of Leoric's abilities and that you can see how long the match is. I do apologize for that. But we're just going to go ahead and jump on in and see where we go. So, Leoric, we're starting here in the middle with this Zool. I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One, because people don't usually expect a dual lane mid, like this poor Gazebo here, who gets rooted and promptly killed by Zool and Leoric combo. The other is that you want to leave the bottom lane to your split pushers, typically. Now, Muradin is not a great combo for this, but Vala and Sergeant Hammer, that's excellent. You want your split pushes to be down here. The reason for that is that on this map, the temples always start by spawning top and then middle at the same time. That means that ideally you're going to want the majority of your team, particularly your tanks, to be either in the middle or the top lane. So after helping out into, not Nazibul Zool, after helping him out, we move up to the top and we immediately see some more action. Butcher goes down, and then this Sonya pretty close to life, but she's going to be able to pull right back out of that. This team does a really great job of coordinating throughout this match. It was really fun to play with them. I just want to give a shout out to all these different players. Gaduro, Bryant, Rohan 283, and Pro IV. Now, the temples are up, and so as Leoric, you are not going to do very well at all tanking these things. So I'm going to let Tyrael do that for the majority of the time, and I'm going to be trying to zone out these other characters. Now, they are focusing me, so I'm using my E to back out. Tyrael doing a little bit of damage, but he's got to do the same thing because he's not the most durable champion, particularly against Butcher and Sonya, who can self-heal. So now we go back to the fountain, but we're going to go right back in because we don't want them standing on this way, which they should have been doing. This is a major mistake by this Sonya and this Butcher. Even if they took a little bit of damage, it would have been better to get off even 2 or 3 shots with that. Now, they're potentially both going to die. No, not going to die, but you can see all of these shots that are going into their gate could have been going into ours. So that's not a game-breaking thing right there, but it does make quite a bit of difference. Now, between Tyrael and myself, we are able to kind of spread out the damage here, and he is doing a really good job of shielding me whenever he can. This Tyrael was very on top of things. He knew exactly what to do. We managed to get the final 5 shots off. The other team did manage to get this middle turret here near the end, but it doesn't look like they really accomplished a whole lot here. They knocked down our gate and they got our well, so it's about even now. However, we are ahead by almost a full level at this point. The team I was on in this game had a very competent mastery of the characters they were playing, and that's not to say that the other team did not. The Zagara, for instance, you know, she's putting her Hunter Killer on Vala there, and Vala just taking massive amounts of damage. So, you know, some of them did play their characters well, but there were just a lot of tactical mistakes made in this match, which you'll see here in a minute. Now, there's a lot of people down bottom, and all we've got is Zool, who's almost dead. Muradin and Zagara and Nazebo are pushing. Vala comes in and tries to push back, but against 3 different heroes, probably not a lot happening. Now, while this is going on, I said, you know what? I could rotate down there, but I probably won't do much, so you know what? I'm just going to try and take out their well and put some counter pressure on them. Now, Muradin does show up, and so I immediately dip out. I probably could take him one-on-one, but I am not willing to do that under his towers. I'm not super keen on doing that. Now, this ghost hand that I'm shooting out, it drains a percentage of health and heals me for it. A lot of people, when Leoric first came out, called him a tank killer. After some of the more recent balances, I don't know that that description is very apt anymore, but it is still very effective. His E is really good for escaping. Now, you do take damage the whole time. You're vulnerable, but you are able to heavily reposition yourself. Ghost Walk, I think, is what that's called. And you saw just how effectively I was able to get out of that situation, even though I did lose quite a bit of health there. Now, the bottom temple spawns in the second round. So it goes, top and middle at the same time, and then the bottom. So at this point, we all need to be going down here. This is usually when your first massive 5v5 team match happens. So we come in here. The other team is lagging behind another crucial tactical mistake. So I come in here, and between the four of us, just no contest whatsoever. This Nazebo very far out of position. He's going to go down as well. Butcher trying to make something happen, but he comes in so late, it just doesn't matter. Ironically, this big minion here did actually push me out of harm's way. Otherwise, I probably would have died. Just complete shutout in this instance. Now, I am trying to tank a little bit. I probably shouldn't be doing that at all. I was trying to be a team player here, though, thinking, you know what, if I die, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'd much rather we get this thing going now. Very, very risky position here for me, but you can see just how powerful that W ability is for Leoric. Sliver of health, and I managed to walk away by helping a kill before Sonya, of course, took me down, because that's what Sonya does. Now, the thing I love about Leoric, one of the reasons he's one of my favorite tanks, is because he doesn't teleport back to base when he dies. His ghost sticks around, and you can actually cheat death a little bit. And so now I'm spawning right on top of this Nazebo, who is suddenly very out of position. Players, if they're not paying attention, they can find themselves kind of on the wrong side of a Leoric, but definitely overstayed my welcome there, so I just have to back out. Now, Vala should easily be able to keep this Nazebo at bay. She took a lot of damage there. Wow, but she took a lot of damage there. Nazebo can do a lot of DPS, damage over time, damage per second. I'm curious what talents he's going for in this match. Went through Death Ritual, which is kind of essential. That's why he took Envenom and Toad Affinity. My guess is he's probably going to go for Specialized Toxin later on. It looks like he's going for more of a poison build, which is pretty good against squishy characters. Now, we did manage to pick up the siege minions. That's a very good thing. It looks like Zagara is probably going to be able to stop them before they get too much done, but all the same, we are denying the enemy team that. Now, there is a little bit of a tussle happening up top. Really good ultimate by the Sergeant Hammer. Just manages to hit all of them, enough to kind of spook them and scare them off. Between myself and Tyrael, again, who's playing his character very well, probably not going to be a problem at all for us to zone them out. Now, Sonya does come in and tries to make something happen here between her and Mergen. That's actually not a bad idea, but that W of mine is just enough to completely take her down with the focus of the other two, and now Mergen is forced to retreat. And then between another W of mine almost gets him again. And this guy is just pretty, he's pretty gutsy. Turns right back around and stuns me, even though I could have turned on him and tried to take him down as well. I gotta hand it to that Murdu player. He's brave. I will grant him that. Now, at this point in the game, you get split temples, top and bottom. And again, I want to emphasize to all the new players out there, this pattern is permanent. It always happens this way. Butcher coming down to get me, but Zool is not far behind, and between me and him, he's in trouble. And Vala comes in, and we just immediately burst him down. Now, he did do a ton of damage against me, and because there's no enemy inside, I can't heal myself. There's this Zagara here, but she can actually do a lot of damage, so I don't really want to mess with her right now. So right now, my goal is just to stand on this point and make sure that we are shooting down this gate. So I'm just going to be doing a lot of kiting, a lot of running around. The other team is switching, or the other players are switching around, tanking a little bit as they go. I probably should be doing a little more DPS here, but I think I was afraid that the enemy team was going to circle around and try to take me out. Now, I did jump in, and finally I said, you know what, maybe I should just stand near the Zagara, because I'm pretty sure I could take her. Not a good, not a good choice, as you can see. And now we are all on death's door, and Zagara just comes in and says, you know what, that's enough. but between an ultimate and the help of the Zool, we did manage to get this tower. Now Sergeant Hammer's coming in and is soloing this Butcher, and he runs away. I gotta say, that kind of surprises me. Butcher versus any one character can pretty much take on anyone. He gets in a lot of trouble when he's surrounded or when he's out of position. But 1v1, he can usually hold his own against anybody. Now you can see immediately, already back up. That's how quickly Leoric can spawn again. It's one of the reasons I love him, because he has such great map presence. So now we're focusing on this this middle lane here. The talents I went for this game, I'm actually going to pause real quick while I go over this. Talents I went for, we've got Mana Thirst. Skeletal Swing, it restores 10 mana per enemy hit, up to 50 mana. Willing Vessel, increase the healing from Drain Hope to 25% of your maximum health, and Drain Essence to 12.5% of your maximum health. Paralyzing Rage, which increases the movement speed slow of Skeletal Swing. March of the Black King, which is the ultimate you saw me use against Zagara, and then Burning Rage. What was I going for here? What I was going for, I realized that they've actually got quite a few frontline characters. Sonya, Butcher, Muradin, even Nazebo and Zagara are not that long range. And so I kind of made a decision to really put some emphasis into my queue. I also wanted to get some extra healing because I knew that being in the front line, I was going to be taking a lot of damage. Normally I like to take the Entomb ultimate because I like to be able to trap characters when they're running away, but against this many tanks, this many people on the front line, I figured, you know what, it makes a lot of sense to be able to do some AoE damage, which also explains the Burning Rage. Alright, back to the game. So, we're here in the middle lane, we're farming up a bit. Now keep in mind, I can't actually see these guys at this point, so when Muradin jumps out, it takes me a little bit by surprise, but again, just able to use my E and run away. Now we are outnumbered here, and this is actually a pretty hairy situation for us because most of our team is top and we've got 3 people mid. Now Tyrael and I are actually synergizing quite well this game, so at this point I wasn't too concerned, and actually the other team just kind of lost their nerve and backed off. If they had really focused on pushing down this middle, they could have done some damage to our fort. But nonetheless, we do back off, and you can see just how much damage that Zagara does. Just in the 2 or 3 seconds I was within range, took almost a quarter of my health away. Gotta be very careful against her. And there goes that keep. Just very, very fast how fast that happened. So at this point, it's a little bit of an odd situation. We're kind of waiting for the towers to spawn again. I believe the next one, yep, is these 2. So we're waiting for those to spawn again, and it looks like their team finally rotated down, and now we make something happen. That was some excellent team play by that Zool, that Tyrael, that Sergeant Hammer, and I did okay too, I guess. So now what we want to do is take some of the temples, hopefully both, but if that's not possible, we want to get at least 1. Now, we do manage to catch the Sonya, and I do manage to land that Drain Hope, and she turns on us. She thinks, you know what, I can take you guys. Zool thought the fight was over, kind of turns back around, gets soloed, and she's certainly holding her own here with that ultimate first, but manages to finally get taken down. And now we're focusing on this Butcher, who, once again, cannot 1v4. No character can do that, so he was definitely in a bad situation. The enemy team is just not making good tactical decisions here, which I really want to emphasize. It's not that these players are playing their characters poorly, because they aren't, but they're not making good tactical decisions. And in a game like this, strategy and tactics will often win you the fight more than just playing your character to their utmost in terms of, you know, pushing buttons at the right time. And I'm letting the other guys know that, hey, you're doing a great job up there, and they really are. I mean, trying to hold off a Zagara, not easy, and you can see just how much damage she does up there. So that does force them to back off, but we managed to get the entirety of this middle tower here, and we have a commanding lead at this point. Now, we are even in terms of structures, but you can see pretty clearly the distinction in terms of kills. You can also see the distinction in terms of levels. We have a full level above the enemy team. Tyrael's trying to tank this mercenary camp here between him and Sergeant Hammer. He'll probably manage to do it, but going very deep into the red health-wise in order to do this. Now, I am a solo mid here, and the reason I'm comfortable doing that is because Leoric's escape, his E ability, allows him to run away unless he is stunned. Now, if you start it and then they try to stun you, it doesn't work. He becomes what's called unstoppable. So I was comfortable just kind of zoning a little bit and scouting and all that good stuff. Now, we are taking this camp here, and Zool runs right into the enemy team. This is where Butcher really shines. An excellent ultimate by Zool and by Sergeant Hammer. And, oh my gosh, so many explosions. I don't even know what's going on. Tyrael goes down. It manages to, holy crap, Vala just going nuts there. That was... Wow. That was all our damage dealers. They did an amazing job in that fight. Personally, I don't think I actually played very well there. I certainly soaked damage. Absolutely, I just died to the boss, which is embarrassing. And here I was kind of like, Vala, are you gonna come help us out? But really, I want to give props to Sergeant Hammer and to Vala. Even Zool did a really good job turning a really bad situation into a good one. He had the presence of mind to use that ultimate when it counted. Now, we are kind of camping this bottom shrine here, which is a really good idea because the enemy team is still down, and we're actually spawning in very quickly. Now, again, because I'm playing Leoric, I can basically scout, and I see that, oh, there's Sonya, and so now I'm able to kind of turn and set up so that when I actually respawn, I can actually start to zone and do something effective. And when you see Leoric using those abilities, you probably just heard my phone there. When you see Leoric using the abilities in his ghost form, that is him actually restoring some of his life and spawning quicker. Now, we are turning on this Zagara. We're focusing her down. Zool gets knocked away by that Muradin. That was a misplay if ever I've seen one. And so now we're turning on this Butcher. We're turning on this Muradin, and just complete shutdown. Playing Muradin is actually it's a little tricky. The ultimate of his, I believe it's called Haymaker, that knocks the other person back, can be really good. Can be really good, but you never, ever want to knock out the DPS from that situation, okay? They had Zool dead to rights, and he put him in safety. He knocked him out of harm's way and put him in a safe place. And so now, Zool was able to help us get this boss, and then he's able to just go back to base like nothing ever happened. Please don't do that, guys. If you are not experienced with Muradin, take Avatar as his ultimate. It's a really good ultimate. You'll get a lot of mileage out of it, I promise. If you're trying to be cool and set up plays, make sure that you're actually pushing the people where they need to be. So now we are basically completely uncontested. It's Nazebo and Sonya, but we've got the help of a boss who has AoE and pushback. And so now we're going to be able to just steamroll in here, especially with the commanding 2-level lead. Now, Zagara does show up, and so we back off a little bit, but this boss still doing work, and now there's no towers, so we are free to poke and do damage as we see fit. I'm a little low on health, but if I can get even a little bit of help there... Oh, thank you, Muradin. Thank you so much. Once again, saving the life of the enemy team. Good guy, Muradin. What a guy. What a guy. Now, I did die there, but it really doesn't matter. We managed to take out basically everyone else. And now this is going to be GG right here, all because of that one team fight. And that is going to be the end of the game. Good game, well played. And again, I want to emphasize, with the exception perhaps of the Muradin, who misused that ultimate to its fullest. Just completely misused that ultimate. The enemy team actually did a pretty good job of playing. I've got to give them that. So who would I give props to on their team? I would definitely give props to their Zagara, who, I mean, holy crap, did she ever put out a lot of damage. In fact, let's see what the stats are for her team. Did she do the most? No, she didn't. That was actually Nazebo, but you can see, like, putting out a 30,000 hero damage and then 50,000 siege damage, that's pretty darn respectable, I have to say. And the thing that's most important there is she knew when to focus that damage. So she may not have been consistently putting out that damage, but she did a really good job of focusing the right character at the right time. Now, Sonya also did a really good job, I would say. She played her role pretty consistently, got out of position a few times, but overall was a pretty solid player. I think the real issues here were on Butcher and Muradin. Sorry, guys, Muradin especially, you really got to learn how to use that ult, man, because that Haymaker, it can change everything, and especially if you use Dwarf Toss and you get into the back line and then you use the Haymaker to knock the squishiest character into your enemy team, can really turn the tide of a battle. But don't want to just dump all over the enemy team. You know, sometimes you have a bad day and you don't play very well. I know that certainly happened to me. So how do we do as Leoric today? Not bad stat-wise. We did a pretty good amount of siege damage and air damage. We certainly did our fair share of tanking. And as I've said before, having the highest number in the damage taken category is not necessarily a good thing. So for example, Muradin technically absorbed the most amount of damage, but that didn't really translate into anything good for them. Typically, the person that has the highest damage taken is the person that's on the team that lost, and the reason that the most damage taken is because they died all the time. Usually it's the second and third player that were playing their character as well, and I think in this case, myself, Sonya, and then of course Tyrael, that certainly played out. I would say of all of us, Tyrael actually played the best. I was very impressed with his gameplay. He knew how to position well, he knew how to buff when it counted, and he knew how to zone without overextending. So I've been trying to get some gameplay showing for Leoric. I will probably do a couple more videos, because I don't think this game really completely showcased all the things you can do as Leoric. It was a good game, but perhaps not a complete picture of who Leoric is and what he does. Thank you all for watching. I will be back with some more videos later this week, perhaps some Heroes of the Storm videos, possibly some more Shadowrun Returns videos, but thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.